Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the Cashflow Dojo. It's a really powerful idea from author Martin Sens about how you can grab the reins of your financial future. The whole thing is a mindset shift, really. It's all about building a financial fortress, but not with just one wall, with multiple streams of income. So let's just jump right in with a tough question.
So I want you to think for a second. With everything that's happened in the last few years, the pandemic, all the economic shifts, how secure do you really feel about your main source of income? Sands actually wrote his book smack in the middle of the 2020 pandemic, and it was fueled by this exact fear that he was seeing everywhere.
And that really gets to the core problem he's trying to solve. See, he argues it's not the market, it's not your boss, it's the whole setup. Relying on just one paycheck, one job, one big client, he says that is the single biggest financial risk anyone can possibly take.
Science puts this in really stark terms. For him, building these extra income streams isn't just some nice-to-have thing so you can get rich. He argues it's mandatory. It's a fundamental responsibility, not just to yourself, but to anyone who's counting on you.
Okay, so this leads us to a really key idea in the book, what he calls the illusion of control. That feeling of safety and security we get from a traditional 9-to-5 job. Well, it might not be nearly as real as we'd like to think.
And this really lays out the two paths you can go down. On one hand, you've got the traditional route, one job, one paycheck, and ultimately very little real control over your own financial destiny. But the alternative? That's the path of what Science calls the Cashflow Entrepreneur, or CFE. That's all about multiple streams of income, playing by your own rules, and really aiming for total control.
Now, this whole philosophy, it's not some academic theory he cooked up. It was actually forged in his own personal experience. Let's take a look at his journey, which literally went from being broke to building his own system.
So, Science talks about his early life as being stuck in this brutal cycle. You work, you earn, you spend, and you're broke again. And even after he got multiple degrees and landed a higher-paying corporate job, he realized he still had no extra money. The real turning point? Getting fired back in 2004, which he actually calls an unexpected blessing. Why? Because it forced him to do something different. He went all in, started a business with a huge pile of credit card debt, and eventually sold it so he could dedicate his entire life to building assets that generate actual cash flow.
And that whole journey just goes to show you, the real shift wasn't just about money or business tactics, it was all in his head. To drive this point home, Sens uses this quote from Tony Robbins, basically saying, the biggest thing holding you back is almost always the story you're telling yourself about what you can and can't do.
All right, so that mindset shift is what leads us to the big idea here, the Cashflow Entrepreneur, or CFE for short. Let's really dig into what that actually means.
So here's how the book officially defines it. And I want you to notice the key words here: mission, greater risk, and then the ultimate goal, increasing the level of cash flow. See, it's not just about owning a business. It's about a relentless, single-minded focus on creating consistent, positive streams of income.
And for Science, this isn't just about piling up cash. There's a deeper kind of personal philosophy at play here. He shares this passage to explain his own view that building wealth isn't just for you. It's also about putting yourself in a better position to help and serve others in your community.
But look, let's be real. Just deciding to be a CFE doesn't guarantee a thing. It's not easy. The book lays out some pretty eye-opening numbers. Sure, about 80% of small businesses make it through their first year, but only 35% are still around by year 5. And even out of those, less than half are actually profitable. And that is why the CFE's focus on cash flow is so incredibly important.
So with odds like that, you can't just wing it, right? You need a clear strategy. And thankfully, the book gives us one, a concrete 6-step plan for anyone who wants to start down this path.
And the order here is really smart. You start with step 1, get real with your numbers. Build a financial statement. You have to know where you are before you can figure out where you're going. Then it's all about the motivation. Step 2 is visualizing your why. That's the fuel that's going to keep you going. Then you can start researching options. Steps 4 and 5 are about focus, guarding your mindset, and zeroing in on controllable cash flow. Think, starting a side hustle where you control the outcome, not just buying stocks where you don't. And finally, step 6 is all about actually doing the work, consistent outreach to make it reality.
Okay, so after all that, what are we supposed to take away from this? Well, the book isn't really positioned as just a collection of tips. It's meant to be a direct challenge to you.
And this right here, this is the gut punch.
This is the main point. If you aren't actively, intentionally designing your own financial life, then by default, you're just a cog in someone else's plan, whether it's your bosses, the government's, or Wall Street's. The whole idea is to take ownership.
Yeah, he's not subtle about it at all. He basically says it flat out. This is meant to be a jolt, a way to shake you out of just going with the flow, and urge you to get in the driver's seat of your own financial life.
And that really leaves us with the big question, the one for you to think about. Now that you've seen this whole framework, from seeing the risk to shifting your mindset to the 6 actual steps, what's the very first tiny step you can take to start building your own plan?